Morgan.
And I'm Jake, and this is Neverland Navigation Radio, where we talk about how I just got married.
Woo! How does it feel?
It feels very matrimonially.
I know, I hate it when people ask that. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know. Good?
No, the truth is that I feel lighter than ever. I'm very happy. It's been like the greatest weekend of my life. I'm so touched by everyone coming together and everyone's spirit of togetherness that we had over the weekend and sharing and like the little love story that we had.
It was a beautiful weekend.
Yeah, I'm very touched. I'm very moved. I'm feeling like I've got a new lease on life and I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know how when you have like a grand thing happen in your life, you're like, wow, this changes everything. I'm still...
do you feel like that?
I do. I feel like I'm like ready to like step into a new part of my life. I'm also moving next week, so like I'm going to a brand new, nicer place. And I am fresh into my marriage, and I'm so enthusiastic and optimistic about what my life can be and even bolder and greater things and the way that this is going, the way that we're talking about what the future for our endeavors together will be. I'm just feeling like everything is kind of going in a good direction, and I'm so happy to be married to my husband, and things are good. Things are really, really good. And that is in no small part to all of my my closest friends who helped to plan everything that happened this weekend, and a huge part of that was Morgan. Morgan secured all of our dining and all of our like
party dining.
Yeah, huge party dining at Disney, which is where we had a lot of the festivities surrounding the ceremony. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure.
Everything was incredible. I feel like we ate at like the creme de la creme of everything. Everyone was talking about how amazing the food was all weekend long. So it felt like a major... Because food is where it's the perfect thing for everyone coming together.
They come together, yeah.
Yes, because it's where you share stories and you get to know each other. You talk about what you like, what you don't like, and that's where the real bonds are formed. So it is a hugely important cultural thing for everyone feeling like they're celebrating and getting along, and it went flawlessly. So
yeah.
I have a deep appreciation for all of the hard work that goes into making that happen. So thank you.
Yeah, weddings can be a lot of work. I mean, you guys did so much. It feels like it's been, a lot, but it really paid off because it was a really, really beautiful weekend.
We couldn't be happier. We also had our friend Tori, who we've talked about a ton on this podcast. She did the planning for the day before, which was the I guess bachelor type of experience, but it's hardly even that because
I would say it's not that. We needed a new term. Because we were both there and it was a scavenger hunt.
Yes, we were celebrating together. Because the way that we looked at our marriage, my fiance and I have been together for 5 years. We've been living together for a long time. My fiance, my then fiance, not my husband, had been together for a long time. We were going into this together. It was never like a meeting of things. It was always just solidifying what had always existed.
Yeah, we didn't do the bachelorette party thing either. It's not my style. But,
right.
Yeah.
So instead, we just got all of our friends and family. Well, the first day was really just our wedding parties, our closest friends, together to explore Orlando a bit is honestly what it ended up being. Right. But we had a little party, and the fun thing about it was all a surprise. So she had put together, with the help of some of our other friends, going together and doing this like scavenger hunt through Old Town, which is in Orlando, and she had set up this thing where she had spoken to a bunch of the shop owners there, because it's a bunch of little shops, and she had planned all of these surprises for the scavenger hunt. So when we went into the popcorn shop, she had popcorn and bags that were the colors of our wedding, and there were stickers on everything, and it was a super fun scavenger hunt to get everybody together.
And certainly, like, if you're a Disney enthusiast, it's something you could probably have done at like Disney Springs too, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Just for somebody else doing the same kind of planning.
Yeah, I think that Disney Springs would also be a great idea because it's the same general setup of a
Yeah.
bunch of shops and an entertainment complex, and it's all kind of the same vibes. So if you were looking to not go outside of the Disney bubble at all,
Right.
then it's very possible to do something like that in Disney Springs. It was a super fun way to start things off. And then that evening was when we got into the Disney of it all with our
Yeah.
first kind of big group meal,
Right.
which we had at Toledo. Morgan surprised
Yes.
everyone.
Yeah. The first night we did a meal at Toledo.
Hmm.
So that was just like your wedding party. So that's 10 people. That wasn't a super hard reservation to get, luckily. I feel like it should be. You guys, Toledo is underrated. It's like one of the best restaurants in all of Walt Disney World. It's on the top floor of the Destino Tower at Coronado Springs. Um, it is gorgeous. Like, didn't you think it was just absolutely jaw-droppingly beautiful up there?
Breathtaking. It always is. The experience for me starts before you even get there
Yes.
because the Grand Destino Tower is so beautiful
Yeah.
from the second you walk in.
Right.
You walk in and there are these beautiful large scale installations that are gorgeous, but just the style of the resort itself is so artistic.
The theming is based on the collaboration between Walt Disney and Dali.
Hmm.
So, gosh, it's just there's like art and art touches everywhere.
Yeah, it definitely encapsulate the whimsical, strange kind of angular way that those two collaborated, and then they show, of course, on the top floor they've got the Toledo, the restaurant, on one
Mm-hmm.
side, and on the other side they have this bar lounge viewing
Dolly
area.
Lounge. We started there.
Yes.
Went to get a few drinks.
And we had wandered in there a bit, but I'd never really sat in the room before, and it's such a beautiful space.
It's beautiful, and you can sit out on this balcony where you can see Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and if there's fireworks going on, you get to see that. So
yeah, absolutely
really
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And they've got such beautiful art in there as well. Not only are they playing the film on the TVs.
The film, which
in
film?
There. Oh, the film that Dali and Walt Disney collaborated on. But then also all of the decor is based on moments from the actual feature. So in some of the woodwork, you see the eyes from the animation, or you see the what flower is it? Dandelions. All of the lights are fastened to look like the flowers that are inspired from the
in the bar.
Right, in the bar.
Yeah.
So it's really
I didn't notice the lights. That's cool.
Yeah, they're like dandelions or something. I don't even know, but they are everything you look at kind of feels in the realm of the collaboration, which is really cool. So I was glad to start there, and people were enjoying drinks, and we were just enjoying the atmosphere before it was time for our reservation.
Right.
So I would definitely recommend, if you're in the area, if you're in Coronado, and you're looking for a place to watch fireworks or looking for a place to grab a drink, then that little lounge is honestly definitely on my list.
Oh, yeah. The outdoor seating there is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Great views.
It's Dahlia Lounge.
Dahlia,
is that not what I said? I said Dolly because of Dolly being there.
Salvador Dali,
right.
Yes.
Well, the artist, anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then it was time for a reservation, so we headed over to Toledo.
Right.
And the ambiance in there it is elegant in there. I would also describe it as whimsical.
Whimsical, because the light fixture?
Yes, and there are when you walk in, there are rows of trees in the middle of the restaurant that make it very...
Olive trees, huh?
Yes, they're olive trees. And it makes it, I don't know, it adds a level of enchantment to it because they're beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the showstopper is the ceiling tiles.
Yes, and then all of the glass so that you can see the gorgeous view.
Right, wall.
Yeah, the lights.
Oh, the lights on the top. They're these huge panels that are on the top of the curved ceiling, and they are, I would say, stained glass style in their appearance, or mosaic style. And then as the night goes on, they very slowly and subtly shift into these different bold colors on the ceiling.
They're constantly just a little bit changing color. It's
It's very
Amazing.
beautiful, and either way you look, it's very beautiful. Because if you look out the windows, then you get these gorgeous views of
Yes.
Hollywood studios. You can see right into Galaxy's Edge, which is in its
Yes.
light at night is quite beautiful. But then if you turn around, you look up, then you see the beautiful interior ambiance of the restaurant, which is also gorgeous.
Yeah.
To say nothing of the fact that this is some of the best food at Walt Disney World.
Yes. Yeah. It's tapas style, and I don't think I had anything I didn't like.
No, I've never had any food there I didn't. I've eaten there a couple times now.
Yeah.
Never had a bite of anything I didn't like.
Right. Yeah. So good.
They have this potato dish with this wonderful sauce, and I think about it every time I go because you wouldn't think
it's just a side, but it's so good.
You wouldn't think that potatoes would be such a showstopper, but they are. They're great. You have to get them if you go. But everything that we had was great. I've had steak there before,
and it's very artistically presented.
Yes, yes. Everything does feel like it's own little curated artistic. And the portions of everything, the side portions are large for sides because then when you get your
shareable.
Yes, because then when you get your entrees, they're kind of more manageable portions of very flavorful foods, is at least what we found. What we had was a filet that came with a bunch of accoutrements with it that together made for some really bold flavors. It had like a jam on it, it had sauces, it had
a jam.
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
It had all kinds of things that were really impressive. Yeah. The pairings of the flavors.
Yeah, my entree was scallops, and they were beautifully prepared. Again, artistic.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got a few appetizers, which were all just really good. I got a bowl of olives that your then fiance made fun of me for.
Yes,
but it felt very Spanish, and that is the style of food. So
yes,
they were good.
Yeah, between the avant-garde styling of the restaurant and the delicious food, I thought it was the perfect choice. If you were curious about what we had, it was a filet of beef with olive oil, potato puree, forest mushrooms, date jam, and a sherry vinaigrette.
Date jam. That's nice. That sounds good.
Date jam. That was really good. At first, I thought, well, maybe there will be some things in there that I don't like. Because some of the flavors that they mention in a couple of the dishes are very bold. But then when you get everything together, you realize that the portions are very carefully managed. The proportions of the dish are arranged for you to have an enjoyable experience with bursts of bold flavor that all complement each other.
Yeah, they really know what they're doing.
Yes, you do not need to worry and be off-put by some of the more eccentric flavors on there because they know what they're doing. You're in good hands. You will have a good meal. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We adored it. We thought it was a great, fancy way to start off the wedding eating of it all. And I wouldn't have changed that one at all because I thought it was elegant and beautiful. And then I had a very full belly when I was ready to retire, when we were ready to retire for the night and get ready for the big events of the next day.
Right. So for the next day, and I wasn't there for this part, but I have been so excited to hear you tell me about it. So on air, I have to hear about your photo shoot in Magic Kingdom. Because this is something that you could book. Mm-hmm. Anybody can book, right? Mm-hmm. How much was it?
The capture your moment, I believe, is like almost perfectly $100. Let me give it a confirmation.
So this is something you book time with a Disney photographer. That's just you're one-on-one with this Disney photographer, and from what I can understand, they take you to a few different places in the park that you choose. I think that you can get it in multiple different parks, and it's not something that we had ever done before. But Jake thought for his and Tyler's wedding, this would be a perfect photo shoot Disney kind of thing.
Yeah, we obviously
no-brainer, really.
Yes, it seemed very obvious to us that we wanted to get professional Disney photography done for this because our entire wedding was going to be. It is $99.
Oh.
We were going to be doing all of these festivities around Disney World, we wanted to encapsulate the magic of our wedding in a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And our wedding colors were pink and blue, which are the colors that currently adorn Cinderella Castle.
Right.
So it felt, like you said, no
And
brainer,
gold, right?
and gold, of
Yeah.
course. So we had to jump on the moment.
And they got engaged right in front of the castle. Like, it just all made sense.
Right. So we actually had a bit of a rough start to that morning. That was the morning before.
Oh, that was the
wedding.
morning before.
Yeah, that was. I totally skipped that somehow, but I'm glad we're getting to it.
In my head, it was Sunday morning. But anyway, go on,
Yeah.
go on. We're jumping around.
So
they don't know. They don't know the itinerary. You guys don't care, right?
You weren't there, were you? When we arrived, we were coming down I-4 and we got stuck in the worst traffic ever, as you can imagine.
Shocking.
So we were absolutely terrified that we weren't going to be able to do it, because the whole reason that we had gotten up early, the whole reason that we were coming to Orlando at the time we were coming from, we live in the Tampa area, was to get this perfect photo shoot. And then when we arrived, we got the worst luck ever, and we were parked in the very last row of the.
But after this part, it was smooth sailing.
Oh yeah. Hold on to your horses. There's a happy ending. But we were a lot of things had accumulated that made us nervous that this might be not the experience that we were hoping for.
Right.
When we arrived, they were extremely accommodating. When you arrive to your capture your moment session,
where do you go?
You go into the Town Square Theater,
okay,
which is kind of in between where you meet Mickey and Tony's Town Square Diner.
Right.
There's a little space there where you go in, and there's a counter for capture your moment where you check in. They ask you what you're celebrating, ask you if you want any props, and ask you where you would like to take pictures.
Okay.
They were able to accommodate us being a little late, so we were very happy. We were very grateful for that. We got changed and we were ready to go. When you meet your photographer, they ask you what you're looking for, if you had any specific places in mind that you wanted to take, and we said, you've been doing this for a long time. We want great pictures with Cinderella Castle. You lead the way.
Oh, good. I would have done the same thing.
Yes, we got along with our photographer great right off the bat. He had just proposed to his girlfriend in Disneyland, and they were kind of in on all the Disney magic as well. So I felt like we were kind of kindred spirits off the bat.
Right.
He led us around to a bunch of great locations that we probably wouldn't have even considered.
Were they places that you couldn't get to on your own?
No, they were all locations that are guest accessible. So there was nothing in there that was off the beaten path. But when it comes to the way that light travels through the spaces, the way that you're set up for pictures, angles, or even just knowing when to just pause for a minute to let guests by and stuff like that, it was all very much taken care of.
Okay.
So even though we did not get any experiences that were out of the normal guest purview, the actual photography in itself and the way the shots were set up, it was very clear that they had a much more intimate knowledge of how to take good photography in the space that we were at, that we felt it was so worth it.
Right.
We've gotten a few previews of the pictures back, and they look absolutely stunning. So we feel that it was 100% worth it, even despite the fact that we had, incidental, enormous difficulty getting there, that we would do it all again.
Yeah. Okay. How long do you get for $99?
It is only 20 minutes.
Okay.
It is only 20 minutes.
But that's a lot of pictures, right?
That is a lot of pictures. I wish I would have counted them, but we ended up with, I would say, roughly maybe like 50 pictures, which is pretty good.
This feels like a really good deal to me.
Photography is super expensive.
It is super expensive. Okay, back in the day when Be Our Guest had a quick serve breakfast and lunch, I always said at some point they were going to realize this is too good of a deal for Disney and they're going to take it away. Mm-hmm. And I'm worried this is like that.
Capture your moment.
Yeah, but it is here right now.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like, I looked into hiring a photographer to take family pictures when my entire family met up in New York, because my family's kind of like scattered. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at like $300. You know what I mean? And that wasn't Disney.
Right.
This is, it just...
Photography.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were happy with the price. We were happy with the cost. And then we were extremely happy with the...
turnout. Yeah.
with the actual turnout. And we would absolutely recommend Capture Your Moment to anyone.
But you
And
did say you had to purchase a what?
yes, now this is the important part of something that we learned from our experience. Not only that Capture Your Magic is wonderful, but also you should be aware of some costs going into it, namely the fact that your photos themselves are not included in your photography session. If you are going on a trip and you have purchased Memory Maker, they will be part of your Memory Maker
Okay.
package. And if you are an annual pass holder who has the Disney Photo Pass add-on to your annual pass, then you don't need to worry. They are included in your Photo Pass as
So you
well.
basically have to have that.
You are, yes, you do have the option to have, um, when you go to buy your photos, you cannot buy your photos individually. You have two options if you are not a photo pass holder, which are you can buy all of my photos from my trip, which is a more expensive package, or you could buy all of your photos from one day. So that I believe was $80 to buy all of your photos from one day, and then it was like $180 or so to buy your photos from your whole trip. So
And then
because
for a pass holder, it's like $90 for the year or
right,
100 for the year.
because we are annual pass holders, we decided that it was obviously the best option just to add on the Memory Maker add on the Photo Pass
Right.
addition to our pass contract, which we didn't have before. But that came to a total of $80 or 85 or something.
Okay.
And
Not
we
bad.
and we felt that that
For the
was
year.
for the year,
Yeah.
and we felt that that was just the safest bet because the day after our wedding, we had also planned on having this big magical day in Magic Kingdom, and we wanted photos from that as well. So we felt if we're already going to have to pay for this, and we come to Disney all the time, I guess the time has come to bite the bullet and go back to being a Photo Pass add-on,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
It's something you paid for before just because you liked it. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it was. I was always the one with the Photo Pass in our group.
Yeah.
And I really did enjoy it. And I have to admit that I did miss having Photo Pass when I didn't have it. Passes had just gone up so much that I was like, well, if they're going to charge me an arm and a leg, I guess I shouldn't go for this Photo Pass edition. I shouldn't volunteer to spend more money. I have a phone camera. But then when you get the magic of a Photo Pass, you're like, oh yeah, I did miss having the Disney
amazing.
professional photo photography.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the end, I was very glad we did it. And Capture Your Moment was really just the beginning of everything because that's, the first thing that we did in Orlando. And then we got to meet up with our wedding parties for everyone to say hello. And then we had that fantastic dinner at Toledo. And now we are caught back up to the day of our wedding.
Right. So we did a lunch at Homecoming.
Yes.
By Art Smith's Homecoming at Disney Springs. That was like the first thing of that day.
Yes.
Right?
We had all taken a little bit of time to just get ready, we had some breakfast stuff where we were staying, and we all met back up from lunch. And the lunch, I had never been to Chef Art Smith's Homecoming, but I had always wanted to because I love a Southern cooking.
Right.
Who doesn't love fried chicken? Who doesn't love comfort food?
Right.
But who doesn't love an elevated twist on those things?
Yes. And Art Smith is a huge advocate for gay marriage, which just kind of like added. You know what I mean?
Felt appropriate.
Yeah. So I think this is one of the best restaurants in all of Disney Springs. And I think that this one made the most sense for lunch. What do you think?
I think it was a great lunch option because you really had control over a lot of things. You controlled how heavy the meal was you were eating. You controlled what style of food you were eating. We had some people eating just a half a sandwich at some of our tables. And you had some people who were eating full-on chicken and dumplings, big old bowl of food. And it was just whoever wanted whatever. And everything was kind of guaranteed to be a higher quality of comfort food.
Yeah, right. So if you got a chicken sandwich, it's not like you're getting a fast food chicken sandwich. It was fancy.
It has jalapeno jelly on it.
Yeah.
I remember that quite specifically because I thought
jelly it was good.
I have to try that. And the thing about it was that it wasn't super spicy.
Right.
Which is what you might think when those words pop into your brain, but it wasn't. It was just flavorful. It added just a little bit of bite to the chicken sandwich. It was really nice, and I think that was an example of all of the different little touches that made all of the food such a good meal.
Two of my favorite things at this restaurant were appetizers.
Yeah.
So one was the church lady deviled eggs, which were like piled high.
I was shocked when first of all, they're served in a carton, which is super cute.
With like a metal, it's an egg carton, yeah, but it's like metal or something.
It's such a good idea.
It's so fun.
Very charming.
Yes.
And then the deviled eggs come out and they are whipped high to perfection with their little beautiful peaks, but they're whipped with hot sauce.
Inside of it, yeah. So it's got like the normal deviled egg stuff, which I'm sure like the mayonnaise and the egg yolks, but they add a little bit of hot sauce. You wouldn't even know. The server had to tell us.
Yeah.
Because I could taste like a vinegary, like something in there, but I never would have guessed hot sauce. Would you?
No, I wouldn't have been able to put my finger on it because they weren't spicy.
They weren't spicy.
They were just a little vinegary and just a little bit of a kick, like a little bit. Right. Not even like you wouldn't even necessarily be able to register that you were eating something I would call spicy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then it also had this big old chunk of bacon that was stuck into the whip on each deviled egg. And all together, that was a super flavorful.
So good.
When we got that, I was like, all right, it's on.
Yeah.
We're in good hands. Yeah. What was the other?
The other was the buffalo cauliflower. So it's like buffalo wings, but cauliflower. They did it good. They were good. Stiff
competition because we've had an amazing rendition of this dish at Space 220.
Right.
They have a spectacular.
Space 220s is probably better, but you know,
way
harder to get into,
and also I would say not necessarily by much because these were also really really good. I would recommend them as an appetizer even here. I would never miss out on a deviled egg. But I know that they're divisive. So if they're not necessarily your thing, you're not a big, egg person, then those cauliflower, I mean, just the glaze on them alone.
I got that as my entree.
Oh, so good.
And then it made me feel good about getting a vegetable in there. Because sometimes when you're eating out a bunch, you're not.
It's tough. And especially Southern, you're often drawn to the creams and the cheeses and all the things that go into it. But they were really good. They had this like honey glaze on them that was like, it was like a spicy honey glaze or something.
Honey glaze on what?
The cauliflower. Or were they just straight up buffalo?
I'm sure there was more than just buffalo, but I would not have thought honey glaze.
It was something sweet, I thought.
Oh, are you thinking that it's on the menu, it says?
Maybe.
I've got the menu right in front of me, so let's see.
What'd she say?
Cauliflower florets, flash fried and tossed in it says hot honey sauce.
Oh, hot honey sauce.
Yep.
Now that I thought was delicious because the cauliflower was quite,
right, and the
refreshing.
Space 221 is just buffalo.
That one's just buffalo.
Right. You're right.
That must be the difference.
Yeah.
I thought the hot honey was nice.
I love hot honey.
Yeah. And this wasn't really hot.
No, it wasn't too bad. No.
I wouldn't say this was like more spicy than the average person can handle. Even if you're not a spicy person, these just have a little bit of heat. Honestly, it's just a bold and a little bit of sweetness from the honey type of flavor. It's not anything too overwhelming.
You got the chicken sandwich, right? With the jalapeno jelly.
I did. The jalapeno jelly, it sold me. I couldn't pick anything else once I read that. I had to try it.
Michael got the catfish sandwich, and I had some of it, and it was so good.
Good.
It was shockingly good.
What comes on a catfish sandwich?
Here, let me look and tell you because I don't remember, but what I remember is that it was like the outside was crispy, but the inside of the catfish was like, it was so soft.
Oh.
It was really good. That's
tender.
Yeah. So that had crispy fried Gulf Coast catfish fillet topped with lettuce, tomato, and remoulade. Remoulade is like one of my favorite sauces of all time. So,
what's a remoulade sauce?
Oh, okay, geez, I can't think here.
What's it taste like? It doesn't have to be a.
It's a little bit spicy and it's creamy. I have looked up how to make it before, so I should know what's in it. But
it sounds like a good compliment for fish.
It is. Mayonnaise, herbs, capers, pickles, and sometimes they'll put anchovy oil in it. So
is it as pungent as it sounds?
It is pungent. It's pungent in a good way.
It sounds like I would like it.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a Cajun. We've had it because we had it at that place we reviewed.
Sure I have.
Port Orleans River, the restaurant inside Port Orleans Riverside. Boat rides. Anywhere that has kind of like Louisiana style will do remoulade, and it's really good. So that sandwich was phenomenal. If you go for dinner or you want something bigger, I know their fried chicken and donuts is their big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah, my then fiance saw after he had already ordered that there were donuts. He was like, "Why did no one tell me there were donuts?" They're all on the menu. So I
It's
guess
all over the
it's all on the menu. So we'll have to come back and try that. But I would come back anytime because the meal was delicious.
Yeah.
Good picking on
Thank
that
you.
one as well.
Thanks.
I think everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is not what we expected from Southern food," because it was so.
It's so elevated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so, it's such another level of quality in there.
I loved it.
Delicious. And then it was time for us to start getting getting wedding ready. So,
Yeah.
so we did that. We had our lovely little ceremony. It was absolutely beautiful. And Morgan right by my side, which I needed, just held me down. It was, yeah, it was unforgettable. And then right after the ceremony, it was time to
Back to Disney.
time to go back to Disney and go to our next destination, which was the Riviera.
Yes.
The Riviera is where we decided to stay the night of our wedding.
Right.
We got a room there because when we had first visited, we were so struck by the romance of the situation.
Right.
It's this French and Italian Riviera themed resort, and we thought that it was so charming.
Gorgeous.
The back of the resort has this beautiful green where you've got you can play croquet and you can play cornhole,
and those murals I think are really, that's the thing for me, that every time I see them I'm just like,
yes. On the other side of the resort, they've got these huge tall mosaic murals of scenes from Peter Pan and Tangled, and they're all so beautiful. They almost remind me, when I think of mosaics, I really do think of old school Epcot, because it had, these jaw-dropping murals.
Or the inside of the castle. Yeah.
Yes, or the Cinderella castle, yes. And I thought that these were so striking, and they're right next to these beautiful fountains, and there's a rose bed behind them, and gosh, it's just such a beautiful little slice of Walt Disney World. So we knew that's where we had to go. So we figured that we would get everybody together there to experience the magic with us for dinner as well.
Right.
Now, dinner, we had another top floor one here at Topolino's.
Right.
Topolino's Terrace is regarded by many as potentially the best breakfast on Walt Disney World property.
Yeah, I would say without question, right?
It's hard for me to disagree. I thought the breakfast experience we had there was outstanding. We couldn't stop ranting about it. And so dinner felt like, well, that seems to be an appropriate choice.
Yes.
So there we were on the top floor of Riviera at Topolino's for our reservation. They ended up being very accommodating to us having a large party by the time that everyone was sat. And more importantly, by the time we got there, it was time to step out onto the terrace and view fireworks.
Yeah, the Epcot fireworks. And I love that they pumped in the sound.
Yes, they pumped in the music for Epcot Forever, so we got to hear some of our favorite old school Epcot jams. I needed to hear the veggie fruit.
Yeah, I know this is an interim show and it's like just a placeholder and it's not supposed to be that great, but I love the touches of the history of Epcot, because to me, bringing the history back is what brings tears to my eyes. As
a Disney history nerd.
Right.
I was so excited.
And they play a bit of veggie fruit, and just all kinds of little things.
The Horizon song, Tomorrow's Child from Spaceship Earth, the Illuminations music. And then at the very end, you get to hear Walt Disney's voice, which sends chills up my body.
Exactly.
I didn't even know how much I loved this show. I mean, it was my wedding weekend, so of course, I'm biased, but man, I'm gonna be sad when it goes away, because even though it's interim, it's got such a huge place in my heart.
Right.
Epcot Forever indeed. And then we also, on the side of things, we even got glimpses of Happily Ever After going off.
Yeah.
We got
same kind of direction too, so it was cool, because it's the big fireworks right in front of you, and then smaller out there just past it. Like
a little 2-for-1 special.
Yeah.
But having everyone together it was a beautiful night, beautiful weather. And we all...
It was very cool.
I was
I
so
don't even get it.
I was
Like,
so
I
pleased and
can't even
shocked.
believe it's like summer here.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we got a breeze, and it was just, we could see the stars. I could cry. It was so beautiful. But we got to see the fireworks. It was gorgeous. Everyone together, just like clapping and looking at how beautiful everything was. And then we were ready to be seated for dinner. And I don't want to understate how much of a wonderful experience it was for us to have dinner there as well, because the inside of the restaurant is also quite beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It's got like what I would describe as pasta resembling
It's supposed to be
fixtures
Yeah, it's
on the
supposed to
top.
be. So the light fixtures are supposed to look like pasta noodles.
Yeah, and their whole thing is fresh pasta.
Right, which is
So
weird because only 2 dishes on the entire menu have fresh pasta.
yeah, it's they divide their menu by
Whatever.
entrees, and then they have a whole category of 2 fresh pasta dishes. And the fresh pasta dishes, it's just 2 things in the category.
Right.
But I had to try one because the whole thing was pasta. So I was like, all
And
right.
did you love it?
Oh, I got the rigatoni. It was served with chicken and this delicious sauce, and of course mushrooms and everything all inside. And it was, you could tell it was fresh made pasta. It was absolutely delicious. Tyler, my husband, got scallops.
That's what I
the
got
fresh
too.
sea scallops. How did you like
They were perfect.
the sear on them?
Yes, it was absolutely perfect.
Everything was to die for.
So I'm going to be honest. When we first started looking at this as an option, I was like, I don't know.
Mhm.
We hadn't been there when we first started talking about it, but I saw that the Topolino's is near impossible to get into for breakfast.
Mhm.
Nearly impossible. As a matter of fact, for the last like 4 months, I've been looking for a Topolino's reservation for them for their day after wedding,
Mhm.
and couldn't get it. We have 2 people.
Hard to find.
But for dinner, it wasn't that hard. And I was like, maybe it's not that good. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not. So, but then Jake and I went and tried it. But
Test
way before
run. Test run. Mhm.
Yeah, and the food there is awesome.
We were enchanted by everything
It is
on the menu.
so good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then my father-in-law got a steak
your
that was
father-in-law.
my father-in-law got a steak that was delicious. We all kind of tried a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
So we were
we
like,
did
look
that
at this bounty of
We
beautiful
did that
food.
at our table too.
Yeah,
We were like split into 2 big tables because that's it was a big party.
a big party.
Did you get any appetizers?
We did. We tried. Oh, we got the ricotta. Now,
The ricotta is my favorite appetizer.
I know what you're thinking. Just a scoop of ricotta? No, 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 no. This is like fresh, creamy, the best ricotta I've ever had in my entire life.
For sure whipped and mixed with something.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's special.
And then there's tomato.
And it's got this tomato sauce or tomato jam kind of thing,
Yeah.
compote or something that comes with it, and it's served with this fresh bread that's kind of in the shape of like branches or leaves or something,
leaves.
which is just a cute little
Oh my
touch.
gosh, so cute.
And kind of felt like it was fitting with the like floral vibes of our wedding as well. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's a great little. But the dish itself is so perfectly balanced with the acidity of the tomato, with the fat and the creaminess of the ricotta, and with the crunchiness of the bread. Like it all comes together for like the perfect Italian.
Oh, it's so good.
Appetizer. I was delighted. What did you guys get?
We got, so for the whole table, we did the table and then kind of like passed things around. So the ricotta was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
They also had a burrata, but I don't like truffle, which is surprising to me. But I don't. I apparently don't. I've tried it a few times. That has truffle on it, and for me, it was a little overwhelming. But the people at our table that like truffle really liked it.
Of course.
Aisha got octopus, which I tried a little bite of. It was a little intimidating if octopus isn't something you normally eat because it had like the suckers on it. But the flavor was fantastic.
I tried a bite of the octopus too. That's what Tyler opted for, and it was.
I'm surprised. He's a little bit picky. Was he cool with the way it looked?
He was cool with it. I think he was in a go-getter mood because we had just gotten married, and when it arrived, I was intimidated by it. But then when he took a bite of it, he was like, "You have to try it. You have to try it," and I did.
Yeah, the flavor.
It's like so meaty.
Yes.
It's like eating chicken or something.
Yeah.
It is such a dense bite. And I think the preparation was everything.
I do too.
It was a grilled
right.
octopus, and the grilling of it was the flavor was so well done. It was like you were
They
biting a
must
piece
have
of steak or
marinated it
something.
for a long time or something like that because it was so flavorful.
And none of what you hear about sometimes with dishes like this, with things like chewiness or aftertaste,
slow roasted,
or roasted. That's right. And it definitely had that like roasted flavor, not quite like blackened, but like definitely a good roast. But anything like chewiness or bad texture or aftertaste or any of the things you worry about with stuff like that, none of that.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I was quite pleased. And then my entree was great. Did you get a dessert?
Well, actually, we got another appetizer too, which was the escargot.
Oh, I didn't get to try. How was it?
Oh my god, it was so good. It was very, very buttery. So you've got to be ready for it. But the thing is, normally with escargot, it's got the plate with the little holes, and there's a escargot in each, and it's just swimming in garlic butter.
Yes.
And you do get a lot of garlic butter. But for this one, they had puff pastry on top of each of the holes, which soaked in the garlic butter. So it was a very like buttery in a good way, unless you might think it's too much. But like they also added a little bit of lemon, so it had a little bit of acid in it that I don't normally get in escargot, and I thought it was just phenomenal.
That sounds luxurious.
I got a few people at our table that hadn't had any experience with escargot and who were afraid to try it, and they loved it.
That's awesome.
Always a good sign. You know what I mean?
Good memory making going on there too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that did you get a dessert?
Yes.
We got the creme brulee. What did y'all get?
We got the warm chocolate cake, which is like a lava cake. We also got a side of Brussels sprouts, which were phenomenal. Oh,
I tried a Brussels sprout.
Oh my gosh, so good.
They hardly resemble what you think of as Brussels sprouts.
No, so flavorful.
Excuse me, I sneezed. Brussels sprouts make me sneeze, I guess.
Just talking about them.
They were so flavorful.
They were, oh my gosh.
I would get them any day.
I would too.
Delicious.
So Bailey got the gnocchi too, which was an appetizer. But I was told it had like a beef roast kind of flavor to it, which is a little unusual for gnocchi. I guess they kind of prepared it in a way that it tasted like that. Like it had.
Did you get to try?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
But I was just full. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so much food. I was tempted by the gnocchi because it is I know gnocchi is not pasta. It's a fresh pasta. Experience.
It's potato dumpling. It's very similar. I feel like.
Right. It's basically
it's in the same.
They're family. When you're here, you're family.
Yeah. So your dessert. Sorry, I keep cutting you off to go back to all of the amazing food.
There's a lot of food to get through. Don't you worry.
You guys got a champagne tasting.
We did. We had some champagne. The champagne was delicious. Oh, it was prosecco. We had prosecco. I'm not normally a drinker almost at all. So when the prosecco came out, I was like, well, it's been quite a long time since I've even had prosecco. I don't even really remember how much I like it. It was delicious. It's it's a little sweet. It's just very crisp. It doesn't have the dryness that good champagne has. So I was delighted by the prosecco. Thought it was delicious. And then for dessert, we had creme brulee. The creme brulee was quite good. It's served with these tiny little beignets, little mini beignets.
When you see beignets it comes with beignets on the menu. You're not imagining how small they are. They're like the size of a quarter.
I was thinking like Tiana's big puffy powdered beignets.
I was too.
It was not. It was just these short little things, but they were actually. First of all, I was quite full, so I was glad not to have a full dough of pastry in front of me.
Sure.
But also the creme brulee. It's a very flavorful kind of experience. Not in a way that it's extremely sharp or anything, just that it's a very rich kind of situation. So I thought the light beignet was actually kind of nice. Yeah. There was some stuff on the plate like a strawberry foam and stuff like that.
Right, they fancied it up.
Where I was like, oh, this is just to make it a little fancy, all right. But the creme brulee itself was quite good, and we were happy to round out our meal with it.
Yeah. The lava cake type dessert had a caramel center instead of like a chocolate center, and then was served with vanilla ice cream and then some raspberries. It was good, but it wasn't mind blowing.
Right. Yeah.
It was very rich.
Chocolate cake. I feel like it's hard to do a chocolate cake at a restaurant that's really gonna wow.
I have had chocolate cake at restaurants that have like
wowed
me. This one didn't, but I mean, it doesn't matter because everything we had was so. And maybe that's the problem. everything was like
High
a 10.
expectations.
So when this was like a 7, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was full.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I
So
really didn't have room for it.
what a weekend of eating we had.
That's how you do it.
But
I think that's the right way to do it.
I feel like I got married. That's for sure.
I'm glad that you were able to eat because a lot of people don't eat at their wedding. Have you heard that?
I have heard that, and I knew immediately that that was not going to be me.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're at such a beautiful restaurant,
too important.
and I also feel that everyone was bonding and going so well that I didn't feel the need to interject myself.
It helps. Yes, exactly. It
and
helps
save
that you
it.
didn't have 100 or 200 people that you had to go individually thank for coming or like talk to or whatever. It was much smaller than that.
That was a moment I was very grateful that we decided to do an intimate small wedding because everyone got on so well. Everyone knew each other personally by the time we were up there.
After the weekend, we had spent the weekend together basically.
The laughing and the sharing of food and everybody splitting everything. I was just so happy that everyone had gotten on so well that I didn't feel like I needed to be a helicopter, you know, and going in and making things less awkward for people because everything seemed to kind of just get along.
It was really perfect.
And I would be remiss not to thank everyone who came. Thank you for everyone who came. Thank you for everyone who is listening to this and kind of sharing in the experience or hearing about the experience with us. We also got some lovely, amazing gifts that were given to us at the table. My mother-in-law and father-in-law got us these incredible champagne glasses that had crystal feet and were hand engraved. And
I told him he had to talk about this because they are like the prettiest champagne flutes I've ever seen in my life.
My mouth hit the floor when I opened the box.
So the stem had like glitter in it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
The stem of the
I need one. I need a set.
They are up your alley. Yeah. They are like shiny and beautiful, but they're like the shimmering stem, and then it's this the actual base of the glass is like a cut crystal that reflects light and refracts light into color, and then the feet of the champagne glasses are also cut crystal when you put it down. And then the top was engraved with Mickey, of course, and our names and the date of our marriage.
And they got these at Disney Springs.
Yes.
So that was the other reason I thought you should mention it because I didn't know about these, and I still don't know where she got them. Do you?
No.
I will be finding out.
Yes, we will get to the bottom of that.
You can message me on Instagram if you want to know.
But the next day, Tyler and I were exploring the crystal shop on Main Street.
Yeah.
And we looked for them. We were like, and they didn't have them. So they must be just Disney Springs. Yes. And those were absolutely gorgeous. I can't stop looking at them.
Oh and gosh, I would put them on display, I think.
Yes. And we also got a gift from Tori, our officiant, who got us these collectible... You guys remember the collectible Hercules plates from the 90s?
Yeah, my family had a few of them.
Yes, I think so many of our families had one or two. Well, she found a whole set.
The McDonald's ones.
Yes, the McDonald's
that you could, pay a few dollars extra to get with your Happy Meal.
And that was such a sweet, quirky little gift because when Tyler proposed to me, it was Dapper Day, and we were dressed as Hercules and Meg. Right. So it felt very appropriate to kind of tie it all back in.
I always forget you had two proposals. That's right. So one of them was at the castle, and the other was at the ball.
Oh, yes. The first was at Spaceship Earth, and the second was in front of Cinderella Castle. We had to hit all of our bases, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you have to go back and propose a few more times. Still the Tree of Life. And,
yeah, I'll propose inside. It's tough to be a bug. My favorite attraction.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're running out of time here, but I wanted to thank you again for everything. I wanted to thank you guys for listening, and I hope that you guys can take some of this information and maybe there's stuff in here that you can apply to your next Disney trip to make some fantastic memories.
Yeah, or if you ever do a celebration. I mean,
Oh, I
plan to do a vow renewal at some point and maybe not do the full... Disney does weddings and vow renewals and stuff. They're very, very expensive. If you can afford it, great. But if you can't, there's ways to celebrate Disney without doing it.
Yes. Or if you would just prefer to do your celebratory stuff at Disney and to kind of keep your wedding stuff a little bit separate, there's configurations for everyone. It's a beautiful place to celebrate. And it doesn't have to be characters and, all of the things that sometimes people think their wedding has to be at Disney. It can be an elegant, beautiful experience for everyone.
Toledo and Topolino's were some of the like classiest restaurants we've ever like eaten at. So I think that you can do it in a way where it's not little kiddish.
Yeah.
I think having our reservations at like both of those were at like 9 o'clock at night really helped because it was, you know,
adults,
emptier and adults. Yeah.
Yep. I wouldn't have asked
like
for anything different.
Parks. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I was so happy with everything. The next day we had breakfast at Steakhouse 71, and that was also absolutely delicious.
Oh my gosh, Steakhouse 71 breakfast is very good.
And it's gorgeous.
It's too bad we don't get up early enough to go to breakfast very often.
Ever.
They have a lot of really good breakfast.
I moved our breakfast 3 times to make it later, and we were still 15 minutes late.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
But they let us sit, so we were grateful.
That's good.
Yes. All right. We're good. We I've got to go rush off to my happily ever after with my husband, who's waiting for us to finish this episode so sweetly. But thank you guys so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, then you should absolutely subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening and leave a review. That would be amazing. Or you can follow us.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram or on TikTok. We're at Neverland Navco.
Yeah.
Or on YouTube. If you're watching the video version, we're on YouTube at Neverland Navigation. Neverland Navigation. I always am like,
I know we've got so many handles. Yes. Yeah, check out the YouTube. Cool. Not only the video version of the podcast there, but also cool in-park content. We're getting ready to gear up for some other styles of content on there. So follow us along for the journey and visit our Etsy shop at Neverland Navigation, where you can get some cool custom parks-oriented content or just custom items as well, t-shirts and hoodies and all that jazz.
Message us. We can do a bunch of stuff.
Yes. Visit us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. And until next time, we will see you on our next adventure. Goodbye.
Bye.